video is to show you the rules for multiplying and dividing negative numbers. I have 8 problems here that I already have the answers to. I would really like for you to pause the video and think about this a little bit before I give away some of the answers. Get your brain going. The first thing that you might have noticed is the last 2 problems. Now, the last 2 problems, the answer is positive and all the factors are positive. That's exactly how you've learned your multiplication division facts. That still stays true. The other thing you may have noticed are the other answers that are positive. Those 2 problems also have positive answers because both of the factors are negative. So when you have 2 negative factors, your answer becomes positive. Now, if we look at the other remaining problems that have a negative answer, we'll notice something that they all have in common. All 4 of those questions that are circled in blue have 1 negative factor. If they have 1 negative factor, the answer is also negative. It doesn't matter if the negative factor comes first or which one is greater. If there's 1 negative factor, the answer is negative. On this slide, you're connecting the rules. So a positive number times a positive number is positive. A positive times a negative is negative. A negative times a positive is negative. And a negative times a negative would be positive. What's great about these rules is that they're the exact same for multiplying and dividing. All you have to do is look at the factors. So let's look at this first problem. Negative 8 times negative 4. Well, I know that a negative times a negative is going to be a positive number, and 8 times 4 is 32. So my answer is positive 32. Now on number 2, it shows another multiplication problem. Multiplication can be shown using an X, or it can be shown using parentheses. If 2 parentheses are touching, it's multiplication. If a number is touching a parenthesis, it is multiplication. It doesn't matter which number is touching and which number is inside the parentheses. If a number is right up next to that parenthesis, that means multiplication. If there's an operation here, that's what we were doing last week with subtracting. The third way of showing multiplication is by using a dot. That would also indicate a multiplication problem. So negative 3 times 9 is negative 27 because there's only 1 negative. Number 3 shows division. 36 divided by negative 4 is negative 9. There's only 1 negative number in the problem, so the answer is going to be negative. Another way that 6th grade we also show division is by using fractions. That's the same problem as this one. Now on number 4, there are 3 different factors. So we're just going to do them in order. Negative 5 times a negative 2 is a positive 10. Now if I take that positive 10 and I multiply it by a negative 9, I'm going to get negative 90. So let's look at these rules. If the number of negative signs is odd, your answer is negative. So for example, if I have a negative 3 times a positive 1, my answer is going to be negative because I only have 1 negative sign. If I have a negative 3 times a positive 1 times a negative 1, that's going to have an even number of negative signs. That answer is going to be positive. It doesn't matter how many factors you have. What matters is the number of negative signs that you have. So now let's do a third problem. Negative 3 times a negative 1 times a negative 1. My answer is still right. But let's count the negative signs. I have 1, 2, 3. Well, that's an odd number, so my answer is going to be negative. The number of factors doesn't matter. What matters is the number of negative signs in a problem. Let's look at 4 more sample problems. Negative 24 divided by 6. It's going to be negative 4. There's one negative sign. 1 is an odd number, so the answer is negative. Let's look at number 2. I have two negative signs, so that's going to be positive number. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. Number 3, 15 times negative 1 is negative 15 because there's one negative sign. Wow, let's look at 4. The first thing I'm going to do is figure out what sign it is. 1, 2, 3. With 3 negative signs, my answer is going to be negative. 20 times 2 is 40, times 2 is 80, times 10 is 800, times 2 is 1600. I was able to find my sign really quickly because all I did was I counted the number of negative signs. If the number of negative signs is odd, then your answer is negative. If the number of negative signs is even, then your answer is going to be positive.